So now we spend few minutes to discuss something important for our life and also the meditation we are practicing. Today, I would like to talk about some Dhamma that help us understand our mind. When you go into the teaching of the Buddha, that you find many important things that relate to our progress as a meditator, as well as just a human being. The Buddha was like us. His status of living was very luxurious because he was a prince. However, we know the fact that all human beings, despite the era they lived, are like us. They always found that craving or greed, hatred or ill will, and ignorance, not knowing the reality, these are the forces of suffering. Despite the era of the time period people live, they all have had that, negative thoughts in mind. The Buddha, before he is entitled as Buddha, was Prince Siddhartha, the Gautama. He was thinking about the nature of life. What is going to happen to me? What is going to happen to me tomorrow, in the near future, in the future? What is reality of this life? So when he questioned about his life, about everyone else's life, he was wise enough to realize that all human beings are chasing something which are not permanent, which are not giving them full satisfaction. Everybody dies. Before that, there are other consequences of living, of life, so that everyone in the society is in an ignoble search. We are in a world where people look for something mundane, something subject to die, something subject to change. This research, if we use that word, pariyesana, if we use that word research, this is not a good research. This is not a good living, he says. This is the simple thing. If I die and if you die and everything else change from moment to moment, what is the use of holding on everything? This is mine, this is not yours, I want that, nobody can get that. So that's how we talk about in day-to-day living. So same thing were in the 25 centuries ago, in 6th century BCE. People were like us today. If you look at the suttas, the kings and ministers of the country, they were the top in the administration. They were having special cards. Those days they didn't have any machine, any technology we use, they didn't have, but they used bullock carts, horse and elephant carts. So they ride those animals for their transportation. So they were busy in various things as we busy today, we are busy today. So this means to us that the level of craving, the level of greed, the level of ignorance, of those people on that during that period is quite, maybe today people have different ways of cultivating craving, greed, hatred, and ignorance. So what my point is that no matter which time period we are living as humans, if we are following, if we are searching material gaining, it's called ignoble search, anarya paryas. So the Prince Siddhartha Gautama wanted to stop this by himself by uh, going away from the kingship, the palace, the family, not because he didn't like the family. He liked them very much. He wanted to escape from these clutches of suffering, and also later take the family members and everyone out of it. That's why he thought of going away from the ignoble search, and he started a noble search, Arya Pariyeshana. The Pali word for is Arya Pariyeshana. There is a sutta in Majjhima Nikaya called noble search. In that, Buddha talks about the same thing I'm telling. He was in a journey to find out the causes of suffering, the reasons for suffering, why humans, why living beings get old, and why they are experiencing aging and sicknesses and dying, why such things happen. So that was the thesis of Gautama Siddhartha. What is your thesis? What is our thesis? What is our intention in life? What is the goal of our life? We can ask that goal in that questions from us. So Prince Siddhartha dedicated everything in search of noble truth, noble answers for. So that made him to be a very serious meditator for several years, and finally he was able to calm down his mind. He saw that there is no option to complete the research except practicing the middle path, the path that talks about the Noble Eightfold Path, and he practiced it very much. And on a day, he completed every aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path or the middle path. He was able to clean his mind because he realized that every problem started from the mind. Mind has, different compartment, the negative side. So long the negative side of the mind exists, there is no escape from. So he was actually erasing those negative thoughts of his mind by increasing the positive qualities, positive factors of the mind. So the Noble Eightfold Path was the main body of thoughts in his mind to push all kinds of unwholesomeness away from his mind. And at some point, it happened completely in an extraordinary way. And that is the moment that he attained to enlightenment Nibbana. So friends, what we need to do to attain Nirvana? What exactly you think Nirvana is? Because even in the Buddha's time, this term was not fully understood by many people, because people were believing on Almighty Brahma in Hinduism today. At that time, it is called Brahmanism. They were compelled to think that the so-called Brahma created everything. Same thing is uttered in this part of the world. So somebody has created us, and so we live, and we have to please him because of his creation. And at the end of making him happy, we will be with him, and that's all. So that people do various things to go onto that particular particular heaven. So Buddha was not accepting this. Actually, even when he was an average human with all kinds of issues in his mind, he was not accepting that kind of creation. Because if he said in many discourses that if the God, if the Brahma created the world, why did he made people different? Why did he make people cripple? And some people can, born with diseases. Why did this happen? So if the people wanted to do certain things to make the Brahma happy, why it is happening? And the Brahmanism, some members of the Brahmanist teaching argued with the Buddha that purity is taking place when they go to the bathe on a different day, on auspicious days. Then he questioned, then in that case, the fish in the water would be very, very wholesome because they are in the water. And the animals in their nature is getting wet. Most of the days rain is there, so they would be they would be very wholesome. So he was very logical always and rational. I'm not telling that logic today as a subject is what the Buddha taught, but his reasoning was up to the point, touch upon the absolute truth. And what he was looking for is the reason why this happened to us and animals and other living beings. Then he found out that the reason is nothing but the tanha, the craving, greed, another word for tanha, and then other basic conditions for suffering is ill will, hatred, or ignorance. So when you have these negative emotions in the deep places of your mind, they're not going to create wholesomeness because they are governing you. So he found out that the three root of unwholesomeness, greed, hatred, and ignorance, created so many similar things in mind, and this is the very reason why this suffering happens. So then he was able to find out what need to be done to stop their influence and to weaken them and to pull out them from mind, and that is Noble Eightfold Path. So I was repeating what the Buddha was doing. Now, what exactly we need to do? So now, simply, just a few things. The Buddha one day advised a monk called Megya. His name is Megya. This monk was meditating in the forest for a few hours because he was able to find a better place to go and meditate. In those days, monks did not have temple like this. Everywhere they found out trees and caves. Even if you go to India today, basically the part the mountainside, you find caves, you find places where mendicant stays for longer periods. So you can find that places, and the weather is better. So weather is really supporting. So this monk, after his midday meal, went to that place with the permission of the Buddha and started meditation. However, it did not work for him. As many of us experience sometime, the disturbances in mind came into his mind a lot. He was not meditating. He was, blaming himself. He was trying this way and that way. His mind is so fast. No one can, nothing worked for him. So not only once, he tried several times. Perhaps he stood up from his seat and did a standing meditation. Nothing worked. Then after several hours of his trying, he came back to the Buddha and said that, Bhante, I was unable to meditate. So many bad thoughts, appeared in my mind, and I was unable to control them. I was unable to pull them out, and my meditation was a real mess. Sometimes it happens, right? So you came in with so much peace in mind and sit down, and you woke up with so many bad things in mind. Why this happened? Because you are cleaning the garbage. When you go to the garage and find the garbage, you don't have anything in your body. But if the garbage is so bad, you have to take them out and put them in garbage bag. So something stick with your hands, and for your whole body must be, your clothes must be, bad smelling. So removing distraction from our mind is like cleaning a garbage bin. So that's why sometimes we sit before meditation, we are good, but when during meditation we pull out those negative things and become really bad. But it doesn't mean that the meditation didn't work for you. Sometimes meditation, some session of meditation are like that, and I think these meditations are very important because you find out the problems. You experiment something negative in your mind. How could you pull out the negative things from your mind unless you find them out? Right? You go out to the garden, and now you are really looking at the plants you seed, plant you are taking care of. So there are, if you do not know what the vegetables you want to, and from the weed, you are going to pull out the vegetables too. So you have to separate vegetable. You have to recognize flowers and vegetables from the weed. Then only you take the weed out from. So likewise, you enter into the practice called meditation to see both good and bad, and we have to separate good from the bad. So bad things would be pulled out from your mind. So maybe one session is not enough to find out the bad thing. Maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of months, you try it. Then you do a good research that my mind has these things as negative things. Now I completed that training. Now it is me who does some training to develop mindfulness, develop perseverance, patience, samadhi, concentration, one pointed of the mind, and then being able to see rising and falling of phenomena. These are the positive qualities or weapons you find out and sharp to be able to use in the battle. So you're getting out of the house with hammer in your mind, and also knives and various other items to pull out the weed from your garden, with gloves in your hand, right? Likewise, you now prepare your tools for digging out the weed from the garden. So somehow you manage. So that's why I'm telling that when you start meditation, don't expect all the sessions to be really, really nice. Sometimes some sessions are really bad in the sense of analysis, but they are really good in long term because you have found out where I do mistake, what mistake I do, what is something I could not control, why it happens. So you look into the teaching, you look into your good friends, You look into your teacher for looking for answers. So this is a kind of marathon. So Venerable Megya uh, is like us. It's like many of us. He said to the Buddha that I experience only the thought of sensual pleasure. Only three things happen to me as I know. One is sensual pleasure. I was really behind the sensual pleasures, which is negative. That means you are looking for enjoyment by seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touching. You know, you use your senses and would like to be really happy. Then anger arises in mind. When we are indulged with sensual pleasures, anger might arise at some point of our experience of sensual pleasures, right? And then the ignorance, avidya, not knowing what should be done and what shouldn't be done, is called ignorance. Let me simplify these three things. We always like watching TV, maybe watching movies. We would like to know what exactly happening in Canada, in the US, in the entire world. So we watch television, especially news. So then somebody come and take the remote and change it to a sport, right? So what exactly happened to you now? So you like the program very much and somebody come and without any notice change the channel. What happened to you? You like it? Now you might get angry. Suppose you like the flowers on the table very much and you place them in a very nice glass like vase so somebody come and hit it and destroy. So what happened to your feeling? Is it something you like to see? Right? So you like very much the kitchen is in order and the veranda and the living area. So people, some family members come and make a mess. So what happened to your mind? So that is, of course, the thing we explain, breaking the glass with the flowers, making the whole kitchen and the veranda and the living area mess, and changing the channel. We cannot accept these actions as right. But at the same time, why do we get angry? Because we had a feeling that I like this. If the news you are watching is fed up with, is not important, then somebody came and change the channel. Do you get angry? No, right? You are not a person of cleanliness. You don't want the kitchen to be so nice and clean and the veranda and the living area. So you see the mess. You do not get angry, right? Because you don't care. And the flower glass, you are not a sort of a person who wants decoration. So even removing that is okay for you. So what I wanted to show you what sensual pleasure is. We always like to please our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body by giving respective things. Seeing is the action of the eye. So we like eyes to see all the good things always. We don't like bad things to see. Then we like the best sounds, music, and things like that. And likewise, we always like to please senses. That's called sensual pleasures. Because of the sensual pleasure, when the sensual pleasure are not in order, not in us, We become angry because anger is arising as an irritating feeling when you do not, get the sensual pleasure. Both sensual pleasure and anger could be called ignorance, not because one of these is in our mind. The ignorance, the avijja, the very Pali word for it, is there in your mind. So Venerable Megya explained the Buddha about his mind, Bhante, throughout the meditation period under the mango tree, which I sat under. I experienced only these three types of feeling: thought of sensual pleasure, thought of ill will or anger, and thought of cruelty. Of course, kind of harmful experience. Then I'm still coming to the point. Then Venerable Megya practice 5 things in order for you to take to experience the nibbana, the path for nirvana. First and foremost, have wholesome friendship. No one can practice meditation alone without any support to and be successful. You should have at least a book or a audio tape or something done by somebody so that you follow it. Suppose you can argue that I don't need anyone, I have enough wisdom. Where do you get that wisdom? Didn't you go to school? Didn't you go associate your teachers? And yeah, except the self-enlightened Buddhas, everyone else need that support. A friend, someone from your family, someone from outside would tell you that this is the right way you could do. I appreciate you. So the people who live with you at home would give you some support to check your mindfulness, to check your patience, right? Suppose you both go home. Who else live with you? You just live alone. Somebody has done something, wrong when you go home. What would happen to you? Maybe your family member is checking you with something, whether whether he or she practice good meditation and have patience. Let me check. So they make a mess. Today we see Frank, right? People do Frank. They pretend that they did something mess just to check people's ability to be patient, right? So, so we need to check ourselves whether we are in the good mind and practice it. So that is happening with the help of Kalyana Mitra or wholesome friends. Sometimes we are wild, so there should be someone knocked on our doors and tell that you're wrong. Just don't do this. So we should have that help. And between you and me also has that friendly nature. I explain you the path to good meditation, and you are taking it well, not because I said, but even you analyze it, and your participation is also a wholesome friendship for me, because I'm also learning, I'm also testing myself on certain things. So Kalyana Mitra is the first one, and then you would be able to speak truth. The mind, one of the things that mind get polluted is our words. We tell lies, we use the word for making people unhappy and other living beings unhappy, and we use harsh words, and in many time in our life we talk about useless things. When we use our tongue for any of those things, mind gets impurities. Mind is polluted. Just like we put a garbage into water, the water is contaminated. Likewise, the mind is contaminated with unwholesomeness when we talk lies, gossips, and harsh speech and pointless talks. So then Buddha talk about the truth, something positive, something soothing, something pleasant, something fruitful. That's the second one, being able to talk something positive. And the third one is practicing sila. Sila is morality. Don't harm any living beings, but practice compassion. Do not steal, but practice generosity. Don't misbehave. Use your senses for something positive. And again, stop telling lies and speak the truth. And do not do any such things that make your mind complicated. Sometimes drugs and drinks made us complicated, right? So these are the basic principles for morality. Then there are other set of moral principles too, but starting from the 5, you can go into other subtle level of morality. So simply, first one is wholesome friendship, have it completely, always. And the second one is nice speech, pleasant speech, and speaking truth. And the third one is practicing morality from the very beginning to the highest. And the fourth one is perseverance, which means you always should have an intention to stop unwholesomeness and practice good thing. It's called perseverance, right effort. And the fifth one, the last one of the 5, is practicing wisdom to say things arise and pass away. Of course, it is not a creation. All the material and immaterial phenomena have the nature of arising and passing. Seeing this from the subtle level is called panya, or wisdom, right? So this meditation is also a part of wisdom, because we want to see what is happening in our mind. Not only we sit and calm down mind, we want to go beyond that. Based on the peaceful state of mind, we need to find the truth of our mind, truth of everything. To find out craving, to find out hatred, ignorance is one goal, and taking them out has need a lot of strength of our mind. So Panya is dealing with all these things. So later, I do not want to continue further from here. Later, the Buddha gave some other practices for Venerable Megyan. Finally, he became an enlightened person. He was able to overcome the negativities he experienced before, and went into that perfect mindset with the support of the Buddha. So here, no matter who you are and what position you are in life, we can practice the 5 things. First thing, you have to find out. You would be able to stay with positive-minded people. If you find someone is negative, don't stay with, because you are going to be a part of it. You are going to be polluted. You don't know it. You don't feel it. Then be mindful about your speech. Then be mindful about your sila, the morality, and then have right effort always in your mind. And that leads you to having the 5th one, wisdom, panya. So that's seeing the truth of mind and body. So these are the 5 things we can practice. There are many other set of teaching given in the suttas, but this is one, something you can remember. So that's all for today from me. And if you have questions, you may ask, but it's now 8:35. So we have spent 5 minutes more. So I would say that you can ask your question if possible later on. Keep these questions for the discussion later on. And very important thing is questions yourself whether this is right. Okay, so thank you so much for coming. And the metta in the paper should be with you. And may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. Thank you.